I'm Tavis Dunn. It's an editing shootout with Apple versus Adobe today on The Lab.
Good to see you. Welcome to The Lab. This is The Lab. I'm the lab host, Leo. And this is the lab assistant, Kate. Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm super duper, thank you.
Super duper. Wow.
That's crazy?
Amazing. That's amazing. Maybe it's because Tavis is here.
Absolutely.
I'm actually very interested in this. Apple versus Adobe. It's kind of a constant battle between Apple and Adobe.
Yeah.
On the one hand, Adobe makes the most popular Mac software, but on the other hand, Apple would like to be in that business too, so it's kind of,
A bit of fighting.
Also, we're going to talk about stop motion. Do you like stop motion movies?
Never
Like
really.
Wallace and Gromit? Of course you do. You love what?
Cheese grommets.
Cheese grommet. You love that kind of
I think they're
stuff.
fantastically made. I think the patience that goes into them is just stunning.
Crazy. Well, we're going to talk to Jean-Luc Dinsdale. He is a guy who puts together a stop motion TV show called, it's Edison and Leo, right? Edison and Leo. Have you seen Edison and Leo?
No, I haven't.
Whoa, you're going to love. I'm going to be Leo. You'll be Edison.
Fantastic.
It'll be great. No, we're going to show you how they do it. And you're right. I mean, this is amazing.
It's
In fact,
like
they've got
minute movements, isn't it? Yeah, I'm just not patient enough to do
Me
it.
neither. I would. But anyway, they are, and we're going to see how the pros do this for a major television show, and the kinds of techniques you could use at home. Kids love doing this. You know, there's great software for the Mac called iStop Motion. It makes it easy to do. I mean, it's fun. Anyway, we'll talk about that.
Fantastic.
And then Firefox 3 is here, the new version of Firefox. Zach Grant from the Mozilla Foundation will give us a tour. I've been using it in beta and love it.
You do love it, yeah?
Love it. Love it. It's
Love it.
wonderful. I love it. More cheese. No, it's really, it's
That was
really,
actually really good.
it's really good. So anyway, that's just some of the stuff coming up. Of course, we got our callers too.
Yes, we have.
Episode 167. Let's get our first call on the air. What do you say?
Indeed.
All
We're
right.
going to Sydney, New South Wales,
Oh, good.
and we have in the background, we have Ben, and in the foreground, we have Jules.
Jules and Ben. Thank you, Kate. Hello, Jules.
Hi, Leo. How are you?
And hello, Ben. Is that your son behind you there?
That's right, yes.
Hey, Ben.
Hey, Ben.
Welcome to the lab, Jules. It's great to talk to you. What can I do for you today?
Well, thank you. Well, I've got a Mac, and I've had the Mac now for 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
I'm running 10.3.9,
Okay.
and I found that I was running out of space fairly quickly recently.
Yeah.
And from bopping around on Google, I found that these log files are filling up. So I went to your site, I downloaded disk inventory,
Yeah.
and that's when I found I had 26 gigabytes of console logs. And I just wondered, can I get rid of them, and how do I do it?
26 gigabytes of console logs? That's not
I know,
right.
I've had it for 5 years. It's a long time.
That's a
isn't it?
long time. Well, first of all, let me show you the console. There's a console in Windows, there's a console on the Mac. This is actually a fantastically useful program that more people should know about. It's in your utilities folder, in your applications folder. And what it does is, console just allows you to read different logs. In fact, if I show the log list, normally we read the console messages, but you can use the system log. You can look at the crash reporter log, logs for individual programs. And what this does is what goes in the log is errors. Problems, things that have gone wrong. So the console is kind of the first place you go if you want to figure out what's going on. Why is my machine crashing a lot? You can actually, this is where all the errors go. Most of the time the console errors are not meaningful. Now I'm looking at it, by the way, in the much improved console log that's part of Leopard. You're not using Leopard, so you wouldn't see it like this. But I would suggest, can you open your console? Can you open it and see what's in there?
No.
Probably a crash
I've
with
got the disk inventory open, but I haven't got the console.
Yeah, with a
open.
file that big, well, you might try. Go to Applications. It's in the Utilities folder. It's a program called Console. Open it and just take a look at it, because first of all, it shouldn't be that big.
Yes.
And so sometimes it gets that big because somebody's spamming it. Some program is like, is going crazy. And if it got that big, it might be worth finding out if that's going on, because you might want to stop using that program or get an updated version. However, let me show you a very easy way to clean up the logs. These logs are supposed to be automatically cleaned up.
Yes.
but it requires that your Mac be on in the middle of the night because that's when it does it. So there's a really great program for the Macintosh that's absolutely free called Onyx. Now there's two versions of Onyx. There's Onyx, let me see if I can find the main Onyx site for you. It's at Titanium Software. So it's kind of a weird site. It's www.titanium.free.fr. But if you Google Onyx and Macintosh, you'll find it. You're going to want to get the Tiger, or the Panther version, I should say, because you're running Panther. But notice they have versions for all the operating: Jaguar, Panther, Tiger, and Leopard. So download the Panther version. And what it does is it's very straightforward. It just forces a log cleanup. So when you run it, among other things, it does a lot of other things. It's a really useful little tool. But among other things, it'll say clear out caches, clear out logs. Just say yes. And it'll delete that 36 gigabyte file. If you get an error message, which sometimes can happen because the file is busy, then there might be something more seriously wrong. But I suspect Onyx will do the job. ONYX. Google Onyx Macintosh. Yeah. And I think everybody who runs a Mac should probably have Onyx, because the way the Mac is set up is that this cleanup process, there's a daily, weekly, and monthly cleanup process, and it includes deleting old logs, that this cleanup process will run automatically overnight, but if you turn your Mac off every night, it will never run.
Right. Well, I did have, my Mac doesn't get turned off, but it did go to sleep.
Yeah, maybe there's...
About a week ago, I turned that facility off, so it is on all the time now.
Okay, good. And it's still got a 36 gig file?
No, it has dropped down a little.
Okay.
It was 26.
That's way too big. It should be kilobytes, not megabytes, not gigabytes. So clearly something's going wrong. Try Onyx, see if you can delete it. But before you do, run console just to see what's in there. Is there something spamming it? Because if there is, what'll happen is you'll delete the file, and it'll grow again. And so we want to figure out what it is that's sending all those messages to console.
Right, okay.
Does that make sense?
All right, well, thank you very much.
Thank you, Jules. Onyx, great program. See you, Ben. See you, Jules.
Okay, bye, Leo.
Good day. I think did you say good day when you say goodbye, or you say good day only when you say hello? I don't know. We're going to have to get a judgment call on that one. Tavis Dunn, our art director, is here. He's a guy who does those great graphics for the show. He also uses pretty much every tool in the book. He is going to talk about Final Cut, the new Final Cut 2 versus Adobe's Creative Suite. Which is best for you? Well, it depends what you do. We'll give you a little tour of both when the lab continues. You stay right here. Welcome back to the lab. Leo Laporte here. This is Tavis Dunn. He's our art director, does all our great graphics and the show open and everything. The art director for Gritty Productions. I didn't realize you'd been here 10 years.
Actually, almost 11 now.
You must have started when you were 16 or something.
Yeah, 21.
21. Yeah. That's great. Well, this has been fun. And things have changed a lot in 10 years.
We've gotten bigger and then smaller and then bigger and then smaller. And
but I'm even the tools that you use, haven't they?
Sure, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, when you started, it was probably, was it using even personal computer stuff, or did you have to use Flame and some big stuff? I
hand drew everything.
You did it all with pencil.
All pencil. No, it was still After Effects back then, but it was like version 1, and just the workflow, as it's kind of illustrated by the new Creative Suite 3, is so different now and so much easier to do everything kind of like all in one computer. Yeah. Before it was like exporting from this computer over to that computer to fix on that computer and then back to this computer and output. So now it's
gotten much better. As you would expect, it's gotten a lot better. Yeah. There is a battle, though, and this has kind of raged for those full 10 years between Adobe, who is one of the biggest developers of creative software, primarily Photoshop, but they also do Premiere, which is a video editing program, and Apple, who in the last 10 years has kind of become a big player. At first, they didn't have any software.
It's really turning into a de facto kind of editing tool. I mean, there's Avid, which is on the very high end, and now we have Apple, which is kind of starting to get into that market a little bit.
I don't know if it's true. The rumor is that when Steve Jobs heard that Adobe was going to stop making Premiere for the Macintosh, said, we'll show them, went out and acquired Final Cut, which wasn't written originally at Apple, and turned it into a world-class product in response to Adobe.
Well, and Adobe Premiere is actually around for a little while longer while Final Cut kind of existed, but it kind of languished a little bit, and it was actually discontinued. They got rid of Premiere.
Now it's coming back.
Yeah, with CS3, they've actually released Premiere for the Mac, again.
Right.
But there's something that, like, as I've really kind of played around and experienced, and it's definitely a version 1 product on the Mac.
Interesting.
It has a lot of problems.
Interesting.
As far as I'm concerned, a lot of crashing and things that don't really exist on the Windows version, because the Windows version is way more polished than the Mac version.
Oh yeah, most people who are using personal computers, Windows computers to edit, use Premiere.
Yeah.
I mean, that's probably that's the final cut of Windows.
It is, yeah.
So we have these 2 packages, the Creative Suite, and we have Final Cut Studio. Who should use what? Which is better for which?
Final Cut Studio 2 is really for editors. It's for somebody who begins and ends with an editing program.
Video editing.
Video editing.
Okay.
Yeah, video editing is primarily what they're focused on. All the programs that come with it are really kind of like auxiliary, like really are designed to help Final Cut.
Right.
Whereas Creative Suite 3 is really a collection of a huge amount of their, like big software.
Right.
It has Illustrator, it has Photoshop, it has
Right.
Premiere, it has After Effects. All these programs by themselves are very complex, very big programs. In my opinion, Final Cut, the program itself, is like the primary central hub. All the other programs are designed to really help it.
Right.
Whereas with CS3, it's really if you're a media designer, a motion designer,
right,
and you want to do some video,
right,
but it's not like where you finish all the time.
I suspect a lot of people like you, though, end up buying both packages.
We bought both.
Yeah.
That's why we have both of them here.
How much are we talking, though? I mean, these are expensive.
$16.99 for this.
$1,699 for that.
But you have to take consideration of Photoshop. Is Photoshop Extended, which is what this comes with, is $1,000. After Effects is $1,000. So those 2 programs alone, which
you're
are
getting a
included
deal.
with it, it's $2,000. That's $300 cheaper for this product than you get Illustrator and Premiere and Sound Booth. This is $12.99.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's primarily Final Cut is like the big impressive program in this, but the other programs like Motion, a great graphics program, and Soundtrack Pro, a great sound editing program and whatnot, fantastic. But when I compare it to the CS3 package,
right,
there's much more value in this because you get Photoshop with it too. If you don't have Photoshop and you get this, you got to go find an image editor.
You really need Photoshop, even if you're using Final Cut for.
Yeah, I think the vast majority of people I know who have this have Photoshop also.
Now I'm looking over here. It looks like you've got what is that running there?
This is actually my cat.
This is Final Cut Pro, and this is
sleeping at home. This is Final Cut Pro, and it's just kind of like
video.
It's kind of to show the difference between this editing kind of timeline and compared to Premiere. It looks pretty similar. I mean, it's the same kind of basic idea.
That's a standard now, right? I mean, you've got the preview window, you've got the whole video window, you've got the timeline below. I mean, that's just how all video editor programs
work. You learn
work.
one, and basically you're going to be able to translate that to most programs. But the real benefit of buying all this is when you really want to start like getting a little more into the details. So if you want to add some more graphics to it that's a little more maybe too complicated for the editing program itself, the nice thing is you can actually
look how slow that is with both of those running. Everything is moving very slowly.
I have like 9 programs in them. But you can open up After Effects and edit like graphics within After Effects itself. So if I wanted to change something, say...
it's pretty seamless integration with Adobe's products?
It's totally seamless, which was really nice. It's totally seamless. There's a minimal performance hit. Unlike Final Cut Studio Pro, which I've noticed when I go to Motion from Final Cut and I want to edit the graphic stuff, I'm taking a pretty heavy performance hit. Yeah, I've done lots of tests with it.
Now, I should point out, this isn't the only package Adobe offers. I bought the Creative Suite for web developers, which is a little less money, and it doesn't have some of these video things like Premiere. Right. It doesn't have Extended. This is the version it is intended for video post-production, right?
Yeah, for sure. It is intended for video post-production, but the funny thing is the weakest program out of this whole bunch
is the video program. So that's why people are going to end up buying both. I'm afraid. Now, how does Final Cut work with the Adobe products? Is there any integration at all?
The minimal integration. Basically, if you're going to use After Effects or Photoshop, you're going to save your file or render your file and bring it into Final Cut. So you're going to render a movie out from After Effects, import it into Final Cut. If you need to change something in that movie later on, you got to go back into After Effects, change it, render it out as a movie again.
Kind of the way we used to do it, the old school.
The way we used to do it. If you have the Creative Suite Creative Suite package and you're using Premiere, basically you can go into After Effects, change it, save the project file, but not render the whole movie out. Go into Premiere, and that file is automatically updated.
Sounds like Adobe's breathing down Apple's neck. It sounds like as Premiere gets better, this may end up being a better choice.
I'm much more excited about What about Premiere 2, really, or the next version of Creative Suite? Creative Suite 4, I guess it would be.
Right.
So.
Which is going to be at least a year off because they just came out with this.
Yeah.
Apple just came out with this. Well, if you want to spend a few $1,000s, I mean, that sounds like a lot of money. What's amazing is this is software that 10, 15 years ago was very expensive.
Blows everything from 10 years
I mean, it's really amazing.
If you just had to get one, though, this is going to be able to do the vast majority of what you want to do.
This is what you want.
This is what you want.
Yeah. Right now, at least, Apple still has the upper hand.
Yeah.
The battle rages on, though. And Apple doesn't have a Photoshop.
Right.
There have been rumors Apple's doing a Photoshop clone, but we haven't seen it yet.
Neither have a 3D program included with this either.
That's
a weird kind of missing component.
So
although Photoshop Extended does allow some 3D editing, some minimal 3D
So
editing.
when you want to do 3D, most of the graphics you see on TV are 2D, but when you want to do some 3D stuff, what do you use?
You gotta go find a third-party program. Some people use 3D Max. I use Cinema 4D.
Cinema 4D?
Yeah, it's a great program. So, I mean...
And then the same thing. You got to render it, export it out, put it into... More work. Anyway, this is really interesting to see what the high-end folks use. Tavis Dunn is the art director, Greedy Productions, has been with this stuff since day one, and as you can see, he's using both, although right now his recommendation is Final Cut is the way to go if you're doing video. All right, we're going to take a break. Coming up, we're going to talk about how the pros do stop motion, the first Canadian stop motion film in a long time, if ever, I think. Yeah, it should be very interesting. Edison and Leo. But first, a close-up of something you might see around the lab. This is, what the heck is that? Something around the lab. I'll tell you what, we'll zoom out and find out when the lab continues right after this. Welcome back to the lab. Before the break, we asked you what that is. Well, it's a button. It's a button on Cyberphone W. That's what that is. I don't even know what a Cyberphone W is. How could I figure that one out? I want a recount. I demand a recount. All right, he's beat me again with his macro lens. Kate, who do we have next on the show?
We are going to Kitchener, and we have Brian, and he's asking about camcorders.
Oh, I could talk about camcorders all day. Thank you, Kate. Hello, Brian.
Hello, Leo.
How are you today? Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
What can I do for you?
I hope my picture didn't get wrinkled on the way in.
No, you look fantastic. Like a 30-year-old gentleman.
Yeah, right. Well, I'm only 25.
Well, I'm sorry to age you. What can I do for you today?
Well, I'm considering buying a camcorder that records to an SDHC card.
Yes.
I'd rather have that than a DVD or a hard drive in the camcorder.
Right.
Because I figure that less moving parts there are, the less to go wrong.
Yeah.
So
I'm kind of with you on that. In fact, I bought a Panasonic. This is the I don't have it with me. I should have brought it up. This is the HDC SD5 Panasonic, 700 some bucks US. It is a 3CCD, records to, as you say, an SD card. On an 8 gigabyte SDHC card, you get about an hour and 20 minutes worth of high-def video, highest quality video. It's 1080i.
Not 1080p.
It is not P, although they have a new one now that is P. In fact, a number of companies are making these. Sony has one. Sanyo has one. JVC, I believe, has one. So more and more of these are coming out right now. And I think Panasonic has just announced the, I think it's the, is it the SX5 or SD9? I can't remember. They've just announced a new one that does do 1080p. Now.
That's the model I've been considering.
Yeah. Okay, I'll give you the downside. First of all, one of the reasons I got it is I thought, oh, that's great. I'll pop out the SD card, put it in a card reader, and I can just copy those files off to my computer and edit them. It doesn't quite work that way. Oddly enough, you still have to import the video, and it roughly is the same speed as if you were digitizing it or copying it over from a FireWire camcorder, from a tape. So it isn't much faster, which...
Well, that's okay.
Yeah, it was a little disappointing, but it's, my attitude, well, that's okay. The other thing is you will have to have new software because this stuff records in a format, it's an MPEG-4 format, an H.264 format called AVC HD. And it's a new format, so a lot of the older, Windows Movie Maker doesn't know about it. Premiere Elements, the newest version does. iMovie on the Mac, the new version, 08 does. Final Cut does. So these newer programs do understand this format. And because it's an industry standard, going forward, all programs will support it. You're going to see more and more of these cameras. Now, the quality can vary, and that is because because it's H.264, one of the benefits of this compression technology is it can be highly compressed or less compressed, depending on how much file space you want to take up. The more compressed, of course, the less quality. I've been very happy with the SD5. I think that is absolutely as good as any DV camcorder. Maybe not quite as good as, say, the Canon HV20 recording onto tape, but it's pretty darn good. And I think the newer ones are going to get better and better. And that really just comes down to compression. The other issue is you have to have a newer computer because this video, it's very heavy, especially if you're doing 1080p. There's a lot of content in there. And the files are big. You have to have fast hard drives, fast processors. If you have a computer you purchased in the last year, you should be fine. But you do want a newer computer to use this because it can really eat up. But I think this is a very good way to go. They're lighter. You're right, no moving parts. I mean, there's some moving parts. You have to, there's a shutter and stuff, but it's essentially no moving parts. I brought this to Egypt, the SD5 to Egypt, got a lot of great video, 2 hours of it, and I've been very happy, even very happy with the audio quality of it. And you just hold it in the palm of your hand. I mean, it's a really great camera. So, yes, I think for a consumer camcorder, this is a good choice. The AVC HD camcorders from Panasonic, Sony, Sanyo, the 1080p's, they're all fantastic. Oh, there's one other caveat. If you have a tape camcorder, you just take out the tape, put another one in. Tapes are cheap. You can use the tapes as archives. While the prices have dropped considerably on these cards, I mean, you can get an 8 gigabyte SD card now for $30. They're getting close to tape prices. You probably aren't going to buy 100 cards, so you're going to be pulling these off onto your computer pretty regularly. So these are really designed for somebody who has a computer hard drive and is going to take the time to digitize or to copy this data. You don't have to digitize it, it already is digital, but to copy this data over to the hard drive regularly. I'll tell you, $30 at this point, you know, I mean, you probably could buy 10 cards and have them with you. So I guess my answer is, Brian, go for it. I've been very happy with them. Okay?
Like the battery.
Battery life is excellent. It lasts as long as the card does. So when you fill up the card, you recharge the battery. I've had it, it's roughly an hour and a half battery charge. So that's just about right.
I think you need a spare.
And you can always get a spare, absolutely. They just like any other camcorder, they pop right off.
Right.
Highly recommended, Brian. I've been very happy with it.
Good, good. I'm pleased to hear that.
Yeah, thanks for the call.
Well, thank you.
All right, take care.
Nice
Keep
talking to
watching.
you, Leo.
Now I'm going to take a stroll over to Mr. Sean Carruthers. Have you used any of these SD card camcorders yet?
I've used a few of them, as you mentioned. Just the codecs and using them with your old editing software can be an issue.
Yeah, but if you get new software, it works great. I'm very happy with the results. Yeah. Now it looks like we're going to go GPS here.
We are going to go GPS, and we're holding the DigiWalker C720T.
Oh, this is the new Mio. Okay.
It's one of the new Mios. They'll have some newer ones by the time you see this. They've just actually acquired Navman, but this one right here has a camera, and it's a 2-megapixel camera.
Wow.
And I live in hope that these things will always stick to our desk, but they never do.
We don't have the right kind of desk. We're talking about the suction cup.
The suction cup, that it will stick to your windshield and hold it up.
Does a great job on that.
Does that.
Much better on that.
Yeah.
So this has a camera, an MP3 player. Does it have a video player as well?
It plays videos. It will record videos. Basically is a little multimedia device.
Yeah. So my question is, how's the GPS?
Well, the GPS doesn't work so good indoors as usual.
So we can't demo that.
Outdoors, it works perfectly fine. And the nice thing about this, with the camera integrated, you can actually start geotagging your photographs and actually locate your photographs on the GPS so that when you pass by there, a little photo icon will show up there and you can say, there's a picture I took here.
Oh, really? But see, now I wish they were a higher quality because 2 megapixels isn't really a higher quality.
Yeah, it's meant to remind yourself of things, be a quick memento, not necessarily the only photograph you'll take.
I have a Mio and I've been very happy with it. I don't think they're probably as good as the Garmin Nuvis, which I consider the top of the line now, GPS. But this has a lot more features, doesn't it? How much is it?
It's $450, which is not terrible, but not great. You can get them cheaper, but not with these features.
Let's take a look at the pros and cons. Sean's shinies are...
Oh, there you go. Great screen on the thing.
Yeah, it's really nice.
That's definitely something you need when you've got the camera in there. It comes preloaded with US and Canada. You can add more maps, obviously, and you've got a secure digital card on the side that you can do that with. And unfortunately, the battery life could be better. You saw me unplugging it at the beginning. That's because it runs out in a couple hours.
Oh, wow.
It does come with the adapter for your cigarette lighter. And the video streaming can be choppy if you don't have it configured for that screen.
Well, it's still, I mean, you know, this is, GPS is getting less expensive and having more capabilities is kind of neat. And I like the Mio stuff. You don't get the turn-by-turn you get turn-by-turn, but you don't get reading the street names. The Doobie does that.
Yeah, that's in the next generation. Now that they've gotten Navman under their belt.
They own Navman.
They own Navman
that's
now.
good.
So.
Details at labwithleo.com. Coming up, Jean-Luc Dinsdale. We're going to take a look at how they made the first stop-action movie ever to come out of Canada, Edison and Leo, when the lab continues. But first, it's our quiz question of the day. What's the name of the first known electronic digital computer? There might have been one somebody had in the basement we don't know about, but the first known was the Tanasoff Berry computer, the ENIAC, the Colossus, Forbidden Project, or Ryan's MacBook Pro. Go to the website, give us the answer. We'll talk about it when the lab continues. Welcome back to the lab. I'm so excited about this. Jean-Luc Dinsdale is a technical director and visual effects supervisor for a movie called Edison and Leo, which just finished principal shooting like a week ago.
That's right. We just finished last Friday. We've got about 3 months of post-production to do, but...
so we'll look for it in the theaters in the summer.
Summer, fall, I think. I'm not exactly sure.
That's exciting.
But, yeah.
Do you have a distribution deal?
Yes, we do.
Oh, that's exciting.
So theaters, Canada, the States, and I think, I don't know all the details, but it's all being worked on.
But here's the thing that's unique. It's all stop motion.
It is. Every single frame had to be shot frame by frame, manipulated by animators, and done meticulously, slowly. Not slowly, but, you know, it just takes a lot of time.
You'll see how much time it takes in just a second. This is the first stop-motion feature film produced in Canada.
That we know of.
Yeah. Now, I grew up watching Gumby, Art Clokey, who kind of created this whole thing pretty much. Well, I mean, I guess it goes back even farther to Harry Harryhausen and stuff. But Art did, of course, the Gumby show, and he used to do it in San Francisco. I've been to the studio, and it's kind of amazing to watch this production. He used clay.
Yeah.
You're not using clay. Is this Leo or Edison?
This is actually just one of the characters. One of the characters, one of the children. I think one of your later segments, we're actually bringing in some of the other characters, and we'll give a little demo of how the stop motion, how you actually shoot the stop motion.
Okay.
But, replaceable.
But they're not clay. They're kind of puppety.
Yeah, it's a metal armature, foam, and you know.
Now, how hard is this to make stop motion? It's a lot of work.
It's an awful lot of work. I mean, literally, you take one shot, you go in, the animator goes and manipulates the puppet, takes another shot. I've got a video here,
Let's see it. Yeah, this is neat. So on the left side of this video, you're going to see the final version, as you'll see it in the movie. The right, you're going to watch the animator working. So she's got to step in, and how much movement can you do? Just a fraction of a millimeter, of an inch, right?
Absolutely. You're literally just moving millimeter by millimeter.
Let's see it a frame at a time so we can see how much she's just slightly moving it.
Well, let me actually just pull
You have to have extreme patience to do this. Does occasionally somebody put their fist through a wall?
All kinds of stuff really happens. Stuff like we found in this show that a lot of our sets were sensitive to heat, so stuff would distort and change.
Oh dear!
We'd have
under
lights.
The lights.
The lights would basically the lights were on for anywhere from like 4 hours to 4 weeks at a time. So lights would pop. We get electrical flicker, all that kind of stuff. So it's very kind of challenging.
How does the animator know what to do? Is she working from some sort of sheet or something? I mean,
basically, all our animators are working off Mac Pros that are hooked up to the Canon 5D cameras.
Oh, interesting. That's what you shot it with, was Canon 5D cameras?
That's right, yeah.
Not film cameras?
Not film cameras.
So you're shooting a high-quality still. It's high def, I guess, right?
It's definitely, well, it's 4K resolution. It's 4,000.
So it's better, twice high def.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then we shoot everything in RAW, and then overnight we take the shot in. We use DC RAW to turn the stuff into 16-bit TIFF files, and we use Apple Shakes to size it down to 2K and do some cropping. And
then how do you animate it? With Final Cut?
Actually, we're using Avid.
Okay, so the Avid will take individual frames and paste them together.
That's correct, yeah.
But she's using Final Cut to kind of see what the result of her shots are going to be? I mean, what is she looking at?
She's working in a program called Frame Thief.
Frame Thief, I like that.
It's one of the older stop-motion animation packages for the Mac. There's a bunch of new ones, but this kind of worked best for our situation. Okay. And I'll show you on
So
screen.
she can kind of see what she's doing. Okay.
Yeah, so what we have here is basically a video resolution. We hook up a video camera to the Canon 5D.
Yeah, I see the Canon's focus points. I recognize that, so yeah.
So the animators are actually working in this video preview.
Because what's amazing is they're getting very realistic.
Exactly.
I mean, these look like real people. It's actually quite amazing. beats Gumby all the heck. I mean, this is really, those movements are good. They know it. They must know. How do you train for something like that?
Just an awful lot of practice.
Wow.
An awful lot of practice.
Wow.
I mean, like literally, it's not like 3D animation where you can focus on certain features and go over and go over again. Here you have to get everything right as you go on the first try.
But she can see a kind of short playback then of as she's working.
That's correct.
So she knows if she's made a mistake. She knows what's next.
That's correct. So the Frame Thief basically shows us shows the animator the shot in progress with these video files, and then we also use to double check the work. We use a program called Frame Cycler Pro from Iridas, which is basically a high quality playback, which shows us all the images at much higher quality. So anytime, and we can pull that up at will. So anytime we need to check anything, we just pull that up immediately. And it loads up, and it's a great program.
So she poses the character.
Yes.
And then does somebody press the shutter on the camera?
Everything's done by the animator. So literally, we have a little stand with a monitor and the Mac Pros and stuff.
Do you have a picture of what it looks like?
Yes.
I said you did. That's the only reason I ask. If you don't, it's okay.
You know what? Yeah, I'm not really. Sorry, I don't have that set up right at the moment.
But that's cool. That's really amazing. So she has a little shutter button, and she'll press that and say, "Okay, take the picture."
That's
now
right.
Go back in and
basically
move it a little bit.
The approach we took to this film is rather than kind of build a whole technology ourselves, we kind of tied in a bunch of off-the-shelf packages and just and wrote some applications in Python and AppleScript to kind of automate
the workflow together.
Exactly.
I use a little program called iStopMotion, which is
it's a great program.
I was going to ask because it's cheap. It's like $30.
Yep.
And my kids have played with it. And it's really cool. So you think that's a good way to get started in this?
Absolutely. Like you get yourself a consumer camera, plug it in, start animating, and just again, it takes an awful lot of time. So just be patient.
Don't use your video camera. Use a still camera.
Absolutely.
That's really interesting.
Absolutely.
We're going to talk in another segment down the road about lighting and some of the things you want to think about. But this just got us started. I think it's fantastic.
Thank you.
Did you see this? So this is roughly the size of the this is the stagecoach. Roughly the size of the puppets and the characters. Does this all have to be built?
Everything. Basically, we're working at 1/6 scale, which is kind of an odd scale. You can't really go out and buy
1/6 scale stagecoach, right?
So everything had to be built by hand.
That's beautiful.
I think
beautifully done.
The door's locked right now, but the door opens. Everything's detailed inside.
It has to, because you're going to see this in 4K. It's going to be very, very high resolution.
Absolutely.
Wow.
So an awful lot
How
of work.
long? Now, that was a 6-second segment. How long did it take her to do that 6 seconds worth of film?
That 6-second segment took about 8 hours to shoot.
A whole day.
A whole day.
Whole work day. Unbelievable. I can't wait to see this. What's the story of Edison and Leo?
It's kind of our version of Edison's life and his relationship with his family. And
neat.
I'll leave it at that for now. But
can't wait to see it. That sounds so great. Jean-Luc Dinsdale is a technical director and a visual effects supervisor for a new stop-motion movie. It's going to be coming out this fall. Edison and Leo just finished shooting. I can't wait to see it, and it's really an amazing process. It's an Edison.com.
It's an Edison.com is the website. So
That's
go on,
great.
check it out,
and we have a link to your website on Mac.com if you want to kind of catch up on what Jean-Luc's up to. You did a lot of really great movies, like Santa Claus 2, Air Buddies, Stargate, The X-Files.
Do we have time to talk about the stop motion, the motion control photography?
Yeah, show us real quickly. Yeah.
We basically built some rigs to instead of having everything shot on still cameras, we basically built a robot. Again, using off-the-shelf technology.
Look at that.
So basically, it would allow us to move the camera in 3D space and get some beautiful-looking shots.
Oh, that's an interesting way to do it. So the camera can move too.
That's right. So we've got actually
a jib shot with a Nikon. I mean, a Canon D5D. Look at that.
It really
that's something you don't see in stop motion a lot, is that kind of camera movement along with the character movement.
Absolutely.
Very, very cool.
So those are the rigs we actually built ourselves, and we also brought up a rig from a company called General Lift, which is, this thing weighed 1.2 tons. It was incredibly heavy, but it gave us a lot more movement.
Oh, look at that.
So again, the camera mounted on.
This just cracks me up that you use a Canon 5D to shoot this.
It looks a little bit weird. And it allows us to...
Look at this.
This rig allowed us to
look
push
at that
in and move stuff around.
smooth motion. That is amazing. Of course, the people won't be in the final version.
No. It's a nice tool to show off.
I can't wait to see this. Thank you so much, Jean-Luc. It's really nice to meet you.
Likewise.
More of your calls coming up as the lab continues right after this. That is spectacular to see.
Hey, welcome back to Lab with Leo. I'm Kate Abraham, and now it's time for my tip of the day, and it's a fantastic research tool for the internet. And if you've got an idea, but you're not quite sure how to elaborate from that, Quintura.com is for you. It's a very, obviously a very simple site. I think it's still in development, but what you can do is type in a word, so for instance, computer, then what you'd get here is a list of the computer hits that you'd get with the search engine. But it also creates here this list of words, like a random kind of thought process. So for instance, I can think, okay, networking. So I'll click on networking. From there, you then get computer networking, and what it will do is then obviously search for those words, give you some more words to look at. Okay, so maybe I'm thinking about, systems. Click on systems, and as you can see, what will happen is it pulls through those words as well. And this keeps building for you. So it's almost like an idea just to kind of like push your thoughts out.
Yeah, brainstorm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thought cloud.
There was a, it still is a program called The Brain that did that. I wonder if they're related. Quintura?
Quintura.com.
Oh, very interesting. I'll have to try that.
Yeah, it's a really cool little site. It's a little bit slow at times, but it's actually a very cool little site.
It's a real challenge. If you want to be a search engine, you've got to come up with some secret sauce that beats Google, because Google's just dominant, right?
That's the thing. Whenever you want to look for anything, usually it's Google straight away, isn't it? So, yeah, but Quintura.com is worth a look, definitely.
All right. Thank you, Kate.
Thank you.
Now, let's look at our next caller.
Indeed, we are going to Hamilton, Ontario, and we have Ron on the line.
Oh, great. Thank you. Hello, Ron.
Good day, Leo.
How are you today?
Very good, very good. Just a little confused here relative to my problem, but my emails seem to go into my brother's bulk mailbox.
Now, you're sure your brother didn't tell it to do that, right?
You know, so there's a lot of insinuation going on here.
I didn't get your mail, Ron. It must have gone into the spam filters. There is a way to kind of prevent this, and generally this works with almost any program, which is for him to add you to his address book. What program is he using?
He's got Microsoft Express.
Outlook Express, okay.
Outlook Express, yeah.
World's worst email program at this point. Even Microsoft thinks so. They're moving everybody over to Windows Live Mail. Is he on XP?
Yes, he's got XP.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this will work, absolutely. So you have to do it to the Outlook Express address book, though, not his, some other address book, because Outlook Express only looks at Outlook Express's address book. So have him open the Outlook Express address book, add you, and most importantly, your email address to it. And the Outlook Express spam filter checks, and if it's in his address book, it goes, oh, well, he must know you. So it doesn't spam it.
Yeah, okay.
Simple as that.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Terrific.
It's magic. Now, probably what happened, it could be a couple of things, but for some reason it decided your mail was spam. It could be that at some point your brother had accidentally hit a key saying this is spam. It could also be that there's something about what you send him. For instance, if you leave the subject line blank, some internet service providers are red flags if you send it from a free email service, for instance. There's a lot of different ways it could be deciding that you're spam. But almost always, putting it in the address book just completely overrides that. It says, well, he knows him.
Yes, in Outlook Express.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Okay.
Okay?
Thanks very much, Leo.
Thanks, Ron. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Take care. Yeah, that's a very useful tip. Anytime, for instance, you get a newsletter, a lot of times newsletters will end up being spammed. Yeah. Just put it in your address book, and then it says, oh, well, he must want this. He must know this person.
Yeah.
Ryan Ewell is here. He has a jewel for us, a free file.
I do. It's picnic.com.
Picnic.com. So it's actually not a file, it's a site.
It's a site. We call them Ewell's Jewels. So what you do is it's a photo editing, photo retouching, photo sharing site. So you can choose if you want, say, have a Flickr account.
It works with Flickr. That's what's neat. Or Facebook.
Yeah, it's integrated right in, or you can just upload it straight from your local hard drive. So once you've uploaded it, which I've already done, you can start editing it. So
this one needs some editing for sure.
So you can do things like you can sharpen it, so you can just real time start changing the sharpness of it, so we can make things a little bit clearer.
Can you get rid of red eye?
Yes, you can. There's a little red eye reduction here.
And this is all in the browser.
It's all in the browser. It takes a little bit of time to load up sometimes, but once it's loaded up, it's working.
It's Flash, I guess, or something. I don't know what it is.
I'm honestly not sure exactly what technology.
It works Windows and Mac, which is nice.
Yeah, and they recommend using Firefox, and then you can change colors, obviously. And then once you're done with it, you can actually go in and you can just save it out. It's not proprietary files, so you can save it as a JPEG. You can crop it.
I've actually used it. I've used it in Flickr. Flickr now has these photo editing tools, and it's Picnic. So it's really
it's really simple. So if you're at mom or grandma's or somebody's house and they don't have something that you can edit with, just go to picnic.com. It's on the website. It's free, and you can you just sign up to use it.
You're seeing this more and more. These are web apps, and this is really a lot of applications. Or forget buying an application, installing it. Just use your browser.
This is where we're headed. You know,
I
what's on your computer and what's on the internet are starting to kind of get mashed together.
It's all fuzzy.
Pretty soon you're not sure where information's stored. Is it on my computer?
Where is it? Where does it live? I know where Ryan Ewell lives. He lives at
labwithleo.com. I live in the site. I have a little house there. And, And I show people my free files.
Yeah, and he collects jewels. Lots of them. 160 some jewels so far.
I can't count that high.
It's amazing. Thank you, Ryan.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it. All right, coming up in just a bit, Zach Grant is here. Yeah, we love Zach. He's going to show us the new Firefox. Have you used Firefox 3 yet?
I have not used it yet because a lot of the add-ons sometimes don't work. So
they don't, and I've had to give up some of my extensions because it's still, you know, it's early days.
But it's worth it.
Love it. It's the best Firefox yet, in my opinion, but we'll find out. Zach will be here in just a bit. Before we go, though, one last chance to answer our quiz question of the day. What's the name of the first known electronic digital computer? The Atanasoft Berry computer, the ENIAC, the Colossus, or Ryan's MacBook Pro? I think that was the first. We dug it up just for Ryan. Yes.
I have a time machine.
It's a time machine. I'll tell you what, you stick around. You'll find out the answer when the lab continues right after this. Welcome back to the lab. Before the break, we asked you what the name of the first known electronic digital computer was. I always thought it was ENIAC, but you know what? It's not. Back in 1941, the Atanasoft Berry computer was an analog computer used to calculate artillery projectile trajectories. Would all be. Let's say hi to Zach Grant. He's the ombuds lizard for the nonprofit Mozilla Foundation. That's the arm, the kind of nonprofit arm of the whole Mozilla group. And Firefox 3 is here, and I have to say I've been using it in beta since last year when it first came out. I'm now it's going to be out any day now. May already be out by the time you see this, but it's close. But I have to say already in many ways I like it better than Firefox 2. Let's take a little tour of Firefox 3.
I have to admit, I also like it better than Firefox 2.
Now, you're a Camino user on the Mac.
I am. It's true. Camino being a Mac tweaked version of Firefox.
Right.
A few less features, but I find it more stable. But I've been using Firefox 3 lately, and I'm really quite happy with it.
So what's new in Firefox 3? How's it different from the Firefox 2?
It's a lot of polishing.
Yeah.
So we've gone through and done a huge amount of issue resolving. So this is everything from closing 300 different bugs on memory management.
That was, I have to say, there was something wrong with Firefox 2. It ate memory, and you know, everybody at the Firefox group was saying, no, it's not eating memory, it's pre-caching and stuff. But everybody I know was having problems, and I was having a lot of crashes. I don't have them on Firefox 3.
Nor do I. Even though some of the nightly builds, which is, I'm using a nightly build right now.
That's risky.
Sometimes they fall over and do strange things, but in general, I've been really happy.
This is an open source project, so every day the new changes are committed, and there's a new build. Some of those changes, those commits, are not reliable, so they'll take them out in the next build, and that's why it's a little risky. We don't recommend that. There are stable builds you can download.
Absolutely. You can download relatively stable builds, which are the betas.
You say relatively, but I haven't had any trouble with them. I've been
Neither
very
have
happy.
I. But one good thing with an open source project is we can generally be pretty frank about the quality of the builds.
Yeah, you don't have to advertise.
No.
Yeah, isn't that great? I love that.
It's nice.
I love that.
Like I said, most of the enhancements are little polishes. They're things like, if you notice, we now have a Mac-specific UI. So I'm using the prototype right now, but we should have this shipped with Firefox.
And if you're using Vista, it looks just like a Vista browser, as it should. As it should. Yeah.
If you're using a form, if I jump over to Gmail for a second, notice that we finally have
the right buttons.
The right buttons.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of enhancements like that. So let's take a quick walk through.
Okay.
So let's start off with some of the boring things. We've done a lot of work on security, which hopefully you never need to worry about.
Right.
But when you do, there are things like if we run across a site that is a site that we believe to be an attack site, a site that causes you to download malware onto your system, then we give you a warning, and we have a list of sites that we suspect.
So there's a database that Mozilla is maintaining of dangerous sites.
Right.
Is there a submission process? I see it says has been reported as an attack
There's
site.
a submission process. We have two different categories. We have attack sites and web forgeries. So
like phishing,
basically malware and phishing.
Right.
Google currently maintains one list. StopBadware.org maintains another list, and we've set it up so that other people, as other lists come along, can provide their own custom lists.
So that by itself is a huge improvement, I think.
It is a big improvement. We give very explicit messages, and we don't let you see the page. So we help users understand that something really is dangerous instead of just giving them a warning.
That's a big problem right now. There are literally hundreds of thousands of pages with malware on them trying to infect your computer.
It is. It's a big problem.
Yeah.
And we've also become more strict on things like security. If we run across a site that's using an invalid certificate, so a certificate being the tool that helps you send data safely back and forth between a site, we won't let you see the site.
So this is good. You want to see this message. If that certificate's not out of date, you want to see that message.
Absolutely. And we have other things like, so say that a certificate is valid, you still want to know more about the site. Using what some people have dubbed the awesome bar, which is the revamped location bar, with one click you can get information on who is behind the site, what the certificate means.
Great.
You click one more time and you can say, have I visited the site before today?
Wow.
If you go and visit your bank site and something looks fishy, and you click on that link and then you say, no, I've never visited the site before today.
That's not good. Yeah.
So
that's a
lot
great
of
feature to have. That's a wonderful feature. You could kind of get some of that information before, but it was a little harder. This is great.
This provides very direct access to it.
Yeah.
We also have interesting things like a much easier bookmarking system.
I see that star. Is that part of the bookmarking?
That is part of the bookmarking system. Yeah. So I've already bookmarked this page. If I click it again, then I can go in and edit some details.
So you already have a bookmark in there.
But if I hadn't, I just deleted it and I clicked the star once. It bookmarks it right away.
Without any interaction, or
right?
Okay.
I click it again, and then I can add extra detail.
Got it.
It means
and you can add tags, which is nice. That's a nice feature.
I can add tags in. So let's add a tag right now.
I really like that idea. So the first time you click it, you don't get a dialogue. If you click it again, then you can file it somewhere. But otherwise, it just goes in unfiled bookmarks.
Right. Absolutely.
I noticed there's also smart searches, and it saves on the toolbar. It saves previous sites you've been to. I mean, some really nice favorites. It's really great.
Really good things. So you can see this feature mentioned here.
Navigation is so much easier.
That thing I just tagged now goes into recent tags.
Great.
Beautiful. We also have neat things like improvements to the downloads. So if I download a large file, and
you gotta right click on it.
Let's jump back.
Sorry, we've got to wait. It just loads automatically.
Okay, let's download a GarageBand file.
Okay. So show this, guys. We want to see the screen.
So it gives us the standard dialog asking what to do with it, but as soon as I start downloading it, there you see the enhancements.
You could pause it.
I can pause it. I can have my system crash and come back and resume it.
Fantastic.
Or I can just stop it.
Not all sites will allow that, but many do.
But many do.
Yeah.
And there's some other really interesting things happening under the hood. We're using a transactional database, a database that keeps data safe between every time you change something to make sure that if the site crashes, if the browser crashes, that your cookies, your history, all of your personal data is actually safe until you start the browser up again.
Oh, that's neat. Now, some extensions don't work yet with Firefox 3. This happens every time there's a major revision.
Absolutely.
Themes and extensions have to be updated.
Yep.
Many are being updated as we speak, though, so you should be able to get everything working again.
Absolutely, especially all the major things.
Yeah. I'm just really very happy. How do we get it? I know you go to Mozilla.com to get the latest Firefox.
Right.
How do I get the beta of Firefox 3?
If you want to get a beta, the easiest thing to do is go to developer.mozilla.com. .org. And we've got a link to the beta releases there.
Great.
Download it. When you start up the next time, it'll give you more information on what to do.
That's really great. Developer.mozilla.org. Zach Grant is the Ombuds Lizard for Mozilla Foundation. Thank you so much for coming in and showing this. And I have to say, after months of use, I've been very happy. I do recommend people switch to Firefox 3. It's reliable now, and it'll be out of beta very, very soon. It's just a really great product. Well done. Well done. And it's free. It's free. It's open source. It's free. We're going to take a break, come back with a final word right after this. You stay right here. What browser do you use, Kate?
I use Firefox.
You do?
I do, yeah.
Have you upgraded to 3 yet?
No, I haven't. I've heard ups and downs about it, so I'm going to wait for it.
I think you're going to like it.
Yeah?
I had probably, I moved immediately to 2. I love Firefox. I'm a Firefox fan, and I, like a typical fanboy, as soon as 2 came out, I moved to it. And boy, was I sorry. I mean, it's not been a very good version. It was kind of but Firefox 3, I'm so happy with it. Anyway, what's nice is we have plenty of choices. And Internet Explorer 7 is much safer now on Windows. I mean, I would say it's every bit as safe as Firefox, so you can certainly use that nowadays. And then there's all sorts of, there's Camino, and there's Safari is very good on the Mac. Hey, whatever browser you use, make sure you go to our site, labwithleo.com. They can fill out that form.
Yeah, /tech questions, and we'll get you on the show.
Thanks for joining us. We'll see you.
Bye-bye.